What's up to all the Imago days out there? Blessings. It's your brother Joshua Nehemiah here with our first episode of Unclaimed Baggage. I'm glad you took a moment to check in because we're going to chop it up on some real dealing with 6 reasons why men don't talk about their mental health. This is something that you definitely want to check out because if you're not a man, you know a man. And it's important to understand the process that's going behind the mind of that man as they deal with all the stressors, the good and bad stresses of this life and how to help them process it. What are the barriers that's keeping them from opening up to you, not for you, but for themselves? Before I get into it, just want to say special shout out to Gum Clothing. We are God's people, united, not fighting. They're the ones that put me in this nice gear and sponsor some of the equipment. So definitely want to say shout out to Gum Clothing. Check out their website, www.gumclothing.com. You can see it down in the links below. And if you can, take a moment, just to hit that. I always wanted to say that. Hit that bell, hit that subscribe button. So let's get into it. The first reason they feel like it will be useless. See, men, we are action oriented for a goal, for a prize, for an objective. And men sometimes feel like, what's the point of talking about my feelings? Feeling like it would be useless. Like there's a mindset behind actions changes circumstances, and words just talking about it won't fix or won't change what's happening in their minds and in their hearts. So they'll just keep it in because it's like talking is useless. Like, what's the point? It's not going to change anything. Not recognizing that the act of talking about it is an act in and of itself that could lend itself to start changing the situation. But that's one of the reasons why men don't talk about their mental health. And how we overcome that is to be able to, one, let them know that their words have value. Words come from the heart, so those words have value, and being able to talk about it, it will be the start of bringing about change because it will help them process. It will help them hear themselves say it out loud. And it would also create a feeling of feeling cared for, having a safe space to disclose those things. So yeah, men don't talk because they feel like, what's the point? But in order to help them overcome that, you have to be able to let them see that there is a point to talking. And if you're a spouse or a girlfriend or a partner to someone, you can let them know, hey, you talking got me. So if your talking can get me, then your talking can help you get over the issues that you're dealing with, or we can get over it together, or I can be able to help you process it. So that's definitely one of the things that, one of the reasons. Reason number 2. See, we got this idea in our heads of weakness, right? The reason number 2 is that men confuses vulnerability with weakness. I'm gonna say that again. Men confuse vulnerability with weakness. And that's to our own detriment, because it's like even to be weak, that's actually showing a sign of strength because it's an acknowledgement of a limitation and it's inviting someone else to come in and help us through a process. That's being human. But men, we don't want to show signs of weakness. We got the saying, never let them see you sweat. You know what I'm saying? You're not a piglet. Never let them see you sweat. And that idea, it conflates with being vulnerable, and being vulnerable is having the security of knowing that you can talk about something and it won't compromise your worth and it won't compromise your security. But men think if I'm weak, it compromise my security and I'll get taken advantage of. So that's one of the reasons, that men have to work through, is being able to know that being like acknowledging a weakness is not a sign, it's actually a sign of strength and security. But 2, being vulnerable, that's also a strength. 3, we come up in a society where men don't talk about feelings. Like, name me any action star in any movie that you've seen talk about their feelings. No, we jump off buildings, we fly, we jumping off of planes, we doing high-speed car chases and blowing stuff up, and somebody pass, and we just go into the projection of men and feelings in our culture and media. There's a prevalent theme of, you know, we don't talk about feelings, you know. And last time I checked, you know, men have tear ducts too. You know what I'm saying? So why did I say that? Because men have feelings too. Like, we're all human. We go through this life and we feel emotions. And so it's important for a man to feel that he can talk about his emotions. And even though it's not a part of societal norms, you know, we can change that, because it's important for men to talk about it, because what men do, we don't talk about it, but we keep it inside, you know. And we talking about negative feelings, we're talking about negative thoughts, you know, unrealistic thoughts, fears, insecurities, anxiety, like all these things stay inside. And when you repress those things, those emotions, you know, I heard someone say that emotions means energy in motion. So if emotions are energies that are moving, and if they're not coming outward, then they're staying inward. And you can only repress something so long before it bursts. You know, pressure release valve. If there's not a pressure release valve, stuff is gonna come out. So being able to, for men, you know, we don't talk about it because men don't talk about feelings, but we can change that culture. You want to be able to let a man know he can talk about his feelings. This is a safe space, and don't put pressure, but just make it known. Oh my goodness, listen. And if anybody, like, while you're watching this, write this, like, I would like to hear your responses to these. But the fourth reason, we think it will be used against us. See, that goes back to that thing of being a weakness, but if we disclose something, then it will get used against us. So we don't want to be the most vulnerable or show our, you know, the weakest link in our chain, because now we've been exposed. And you can't expose yourself, you know, and see, and that's an issue of trust. That is an issue of trust, but don't take it personal. If you're a spouse or a friend or a family member, it's not an issue of trust towards you. That's another thing that a man has to deal with, internal issues. You know, that's a part of why we don't talk about it, because there's so many things that we have unresolved in us. It prevents us from talking about these things. So being able to create a relationship, an environment to let this man know, hey, like, I won't use it again. Like, sometimes you may have to articulate some of these things, because that shows that you're speaking to the deep root of the cause. Or you can just ask why, but if you, like, it won't get you, like, we're not using stuff, like, we don't use stuff against each other. We use it to uplift each other. Like, being able to have that type of communication, that can go a long way. The fifth reason why men don't talk about their mental health. Are you ready for it? Because if they say it, then they have to acknowledge it. See, it's and if they say it to someone, now they've joined themselves, or someone has become a part of this narrative, this story, this experience of these feelings. Now, there's a benefit to it because it deepens the relationship, but this idea behind, if I speak to it, then it becomes reality, but it's real, and I gotta acknowledge it and deal with it. And here's the deal with that. Here's how you work through that. One, you recognize that if it's a fear, if it's an anxiety, if it's a negative thought or a false perception, speaking to it doesn't make it reality. You know, speaking to it just means that you're acknowledging it. Speaking, there's this thing, you know, in the Black culture where we don't talk about death. You know, we don't want to talk about advanced directives. We don't want to talk about wills. We don't want to talk about death, because we have this notion that discussing death means death is going to come. And that's not necessarily true. Discussing it as in preparation for it, then that's different from discussing it as saying, I think this is going to happen soon. Those are two different type of dynamics. And the same thing applies with talking about men. Because you talk about feeling depressed doesn't mean that you're going to always be depressed, or you're going to immediately be depressed, or depression is going to become a part of your being. It just means that you're acknowledging that in the moment, because even if you don't speak it, the feelings are still there. So that's one of the reasons why men, we don't want to acknowledge the reality or have someone join the reality with us. But if you're able to get over that, know that speaking about it brings freedom. Speaking about it brings liberty. Speaking about it is a breath of fresh air, because you you exhale that thing so you can inhale new life. You know what I'm saying? The sixth reason is that they don't want to be labeled as crazy. I think that because we live in a time where, we don't know how to deal with mental health. I'm watching the news. I'm seeing what's happening with different people. I worked in healthcare. I've had some personal experiences myself, and I've come to the conclusion that we as a society, communities, we're not equipped emotionally, intellectually, and even spiritually to deal with someone's mental health. And that creates a challenge for someone that's struggling, because it's like that old Escape song, who can I run to? You know what I'm saying? Like, where can I go if none of these places, present me with an environment, an atmosphere where I can convey these things. So, and where I can convey these things where I won't get looked at differently, because we all got this. We all got ego. We all got this outer self that we want to keep up in front of people. We all got the outer self. And then, we got the inward self, our intellect, our consciousness. Then we got our spiritual selves. And with this outer self, we want to maintain the appearance. And we do that to the detriment of our inner selves and our spiritual selves. And so, not wanting to be labeled as something, that prevent being able to get the help that one needs. So I'll tell you, just because, if you have a physical illness, you get diagnosed, or you go to a doctor and you get treatment, and then you're on your way. The same thing is with mental health. You get diagnosed, or you go somewhere, you get treatment, then you get on your way. You're not labeled, you get diagnosed. A diagnosis is not a declaration. Get what I'm saying? It's not a declaration over your being. It's just a diagnosis of something up with you. So, work through those, and it's going to take time, but those ideas of what it means to go and get treatment, to go into therapy. I go to therapy. I'm in therapy. I wanted to make it a point of saying that. I've been through a lot of trauma in this life, and I've experienced a lot of events, some stuff self-inflicted, some stuff from the community, some stuff just life, and it got overwhelming. And so, and I had a moment where stuff came out, and it was like, oh, I didn't even know I was dealing with all of this. And what did I do? Hey man, I went and got therapy, and so I just wanted to make sure I say that, because some man is out there struggling with wondering, should I go to therapy? Should I get counseling? And I watch, different social media videos and I read articles about mental health, and there's an encouragement, there's the push, but there's not a person that is standing in the position of having an experience of a mental health crisis and then being in the position of receiving treatment, effective treatment, counseling, effective treatment, and then giving the encouragement to saying, hey, you can do it too. And guess what? You won't be labeled. You won't be labeled as crazy. And I'll tell you this, and you can check this out in the welcome video, because we're closing right now. This was a part of me starting this channel. I really wanted to, you know, I had this experience in 2020 and in 2021, and it was horrendous. And there was no one in sight, you know. There were all these different emotions and experiences where I was like, man, if I can just find someone, or if there's someone talking about this, or if there's a book about like this experience is deep, especially, and you know, and Black and white people have mental health and mental health issues. Everyone has a mental health. But, you know, for my community, it wasn't, you know, I appreciate what Charlamagne out there doing, but on this level, for me, I was looking for something more in depth, tangible, a person talking to me. So that's why I'm here, to talk to you, talk with you, however you want to look at it. Thank you for taking the time out to listen to the 6 reasons. Did I say 6? Yeah, I said 6. I said 6. But appreciate you, man. God bless you. God keep you. Remember, you are the Imago Dei. There is love, peace, joy, wisdom, kindness, gentleness, and everything in between to uplift you from darkness to light that dwells within you. And if it ain't no beauty in the world that you can see, go out and make some beauty. God bless you. Peace.